Coalition to address synthetic drug threats. This is sub-working group 3.1. This is the first hour of 3 hours of sub-working group meetings. On the second day, we had supply reduction and data collection meetings yesterday. I have a few administrative announcements to get started. Thank you, Cyril, for leading us off. Isn't it interesting and incredible that now we have to talk about artificial intelligence attending meetings that we're having on Zoom? This is a new day as we see this technology start to take hold. I want to start off with an administrative announcement on the synthetic drug resolution that the U.S. is sponsoring in the UN General Assembly plenary, and that will be brought to the table on Monday, December 18th in New York City. We're hoping that this will be approved by consensus with all 193 member states of the United Nations. The United States introduced this resolution to highlight emerging global issues related to synthetic drugs and to urge widespread and unified support to address their associated public health and security challenges. This resolution aligns with U.S. efforts to enhance international cooperation on this urgent issue through the Global Coalition and ongoing efforts in the UN Commission on Narcotic Drugs. We urge your governments to demonstrate strong support for this effort to further elevate synthetic drugs as an urgent international priority, first by co-sponsoring the text of the resolution, and second by voting in favor of this issue. Next, I want to express our thoughts and plans for civil society engagement. Some of you who attended the July 2023 ministerial recall the Declaration on Accelerating and Strengthening Global Responses to Synthetic Drugs. And we, at that point, decided that participating governments would have a commitment to take into account input from civil society into the coalition's objectives. But as you know, through consensus, we decided that we were not going to have an open forum for civil society to join these sub-working group meetings. These would remain closed only to governments and to international organizations. So we have this process that we are sharing with you and that we've been developing and sharing with our co-chairs. The coalition will establish the following mechanisms, which will be posted on our website, globalcoalition.us. First, we will establish national dialogues for coalition governments. So we are inviting all of you as governments to engage your own domestic civil society organizations and to have roundtables, organized roundtables during the months of January to February. The United States, for its part, will be leading by example. We will organize a roundtable through our White House Office of National Drug Control Policy. They will organize on January 27th a roundtable of U.S. civil society organizations, and then the content of that will be posted on the website in a new section that we are going to have for civil society organizations. Likewise, we invite you again to have your own roundtables, and then we will post your summaries also to the website. Second, we will have a global civil society forum through the Vienna NGO Committee. This will be a multi-hour event with civil society from around the world. Third, we will invite civil society to exchange experiences on the coalition website by sending us videos and contributing content that we can put on the website for coalition members to review. Fourth, we will invite recommendations from civil society organizations that will be posted on the coalition website between the months of January to April. And then finally, we will invite civil society to share achievements that they have made in addressing synthetic drugs between the period of April to July. Finally, at the discretion of co-chairs, civil society representatives may be invited to present at specific sub-working group meetings. We leave that to the decision of the co-chairs of each individual sub-working group. And finally, I'll share with you all that the coalition website is up. It's globalcoalition.us. There you can see the upcoming agendas for the months as we have it and as we update it. And you can also find past recordings of past months. We would also like to invite all of the members of the coalition that are here today and those that are seeing the recorded video to submit videos that they may have to share with coalition members of innovations, of initiatives that they have, of recommendations that they have for the coalition work. So we welcome videos that we will post there as well. If you're also interested in speaking on the agenda in upcoming sessions, we also invite you to volunteer to serve as a speaker. So with that, I will skip the presentation of the agenda because we have our co-chairs with us and they'll do a much better job in terms of leading us through those channels. So over to our co-chairs for tonight's session. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much, Brian. Whichever part of the globe you are, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to our presenters, colleagues, and of course, congratulations again to our organizers. I'm Dr. Maria Corazon Dublao, the Chief Health Program Officer of the Philippines, and I'm also one of the UPC Global Trainers. We can see our UPC colleagues here, and we have a lot of interesting topics lined up today. And I am turning it over to my co-chair, Ivana Thirising, to start with the introduction of our speakers for this day. Thank you. Over to you, Ivana.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Brian. And greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining us today, and welcome to the third meeting, which will be the last one for this year. I do hope we make the most of today's presentation and testimonials. The main topics for today will be school-based and family-based prevention interventions, as well as a global program on workplace training and accreditation for organizations. So without further ado, because time is not in our favor, I will introduce you to Mrs. Naina Gurung from Bhutan. She will be doing the first presentation for today. Mrs. Naina served as a high school principal for over 27 years. She then served as a specialist in the Department of Youth and Sports, Ministry of Education. And she also served as the head of the Teacher Development Center at the Royal Academy at Paro, Bhutan. As an educationist, her work revolved around demand and supply reduction of substances. Presently, she is volunteering at the Renew, Respect, Educate, Nurture, and Educate Women. She is a member of the Bhutan Board for Certified Counselors and is presently serving as a member of the certifying board of the BBCC for the counselors in the country. She is a certified UTC ICAP 1 trainer and a UPC master trainer. So if we can have the presentation of Naina, please.
Prevention of psychoactive substances use has never been so very necessary and crucial. I'm honored and grateful to present here the Universal Prevention Curriculum, UPC, school-based prevention that was developed through the funding from the US Department of State to the Colombo Plan Drug Advisory Program. Here, I would like to highlight on the various prevention dynamics in the schools. To comprehend prevention, it is essential to understand the various factors that interplay within and with the schools. School is a beautiful space and where magic happens. I believe so. Schools are a significant part of a community and most important agent of socialization outside the family. Schools, as we all know, are affected by other micro and macro level environments in the communities they serve. As prevention professionals, it helps to address the interrelationships among each of the many institutions of the community. This slide presents a generalized picture of the various important institutions of a community: family, religion, economy, safety and security, education, and governance. It is important that all these institutions come together to support the goals of the schools, particularly demand and supply reductions of psychoactive substances. Family, peers, schools, workplace, media, and faith-based organizations are the institutions primarily responsible for socialization of children. As illustrated in this diagram, we see that these agents influence one another. Ideally, they all complement one another to support healthy, pro-social, and successful citizens, and thus produce a harmonious and productive society. Socialization is the key factor in the development of children, and it can take various forms. Children are socialize and become contributing members of the society. Socialization is shaped by a variety of influences. One of them is the extent to which the children bond to the institutions, which are responsible for their socialization process. The other is the extent to which these institutions fulfill their responsibilities. These multiple influences on the students can be either or both positive and negative. Schools shape the attitudes towards responsible behavior in general and towards substance use in particular. Schools reinforce the positive behaviors that they learn at home and in community by providing them the opportunities to practice these positive behaviors under adult supervision. This graphic reminds us that everyone at school affects each other, which means that substance use can affect students or school personnel either during or after school hours and on and off the school grounds. It also means that school-based interventions can have positive effects throughout the school environment. In schools, we are looking at preventions not only around the students, but also at the adults associated with schools. The question here is, what can the school administration do to facilitate and mobilize the various institutions in the community to play their roles to build effective protective factors around the children and themselves? Schools have major roles to play in substance use prevention in at least 3 additional key areas. The most important role is demand reduction, that is, preventing or at least delaying substance use by the students. Schools also have some responsibility for supply reduction, that is, developing reasonable, clear, and consistently enforced policies targeting the use and sale of psychoactive substances on and near school grounds and at all school-sponsored events. Besides, the school also have a responsibility to their students to reduce the adverse consequences associated with use. They can treat the problem users with sensitivity and compassion by referring them to appropriate counseling and treatment, and by helping them to remain substance-free. Each school has many important characteristics that shape its students' behaviors and manifest the visions of the school. Schools need to work around these characteristics to make a positive difference in preventing substance use. The school's physical setting is the place where students feel safe and that it is appropriately equipped with the materials students need to learn. The programs and the curriculum in the schools need to be interactive and valuable, taught by trained, cognizant teachers. Appropriate classroom-based substance use prevention programs need to be in place to inspire the students. The policies should directly affect healthy behaviors such as substance use prevention. The school climate should be physically and psychologically safe. When all these aspects are functioning appropriately, children would love coming to school and enjoy the programs. Schools do make a difference. It is important that the schools take initiative to facilitate prevention interventions at crucial points as indicated by the stars in this graphic. Schools need to facilitate the improvement of the environments to result in the rational intention and behavior of the students. Here in the last slide are a few of the evidence-based strategies identified by the international standard published by UNODC. It gives the target groups the best available interventions, techniques, and policies. The evidence-based intervention preventions focus on addressing the vulnerabilities specific to the developmental stages of the target group, both in the micro and macro level environments. As given in the slide, for middle childhood, parenting skills program is found to be effective, along with the personal and social skills education. For early childhood, addressing individual psychological vulnerabilities, school policy and climate are indicated to be good. Life skills training and project towards no drug abuse are also found to be effective. My own personal experience and observation is that mindfulness practices in schools complement the UPC evidence-based preventions. Significant improvements have been observed on the overall temperament of the students in academic as well as co-curricular activities and discontinuing substance use. Thank you.
Thank you, Naina. Thank you for outlining the pivotal role that the school plays in substance use prevention. Before I move forward, may I suggest, because time may not be in our favor, that if you have any questions, comments, you can post it in the chat box so we can address them as we move forward. If we have time at the end, then we'll address some of the questions in the main group. But for the time being, it will be appreciated if you can type them in the chat box. Thank you. I will now invite Dr. Maria Dumlao from Philippines for her testimonial. Maria, over to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant day to each one of you. Today, I am delighted to share with you the significant strides we have made in implementing a groundbreaking initiative in our community. Quezon City has been at the forefront, pioneering the rollout of the Strong Families program since its introduction to the Philippines in 2019. Over the years, our local government unit has not only embraced this program, but has actively propelled its implementation at the grassroots level. Witnessing the profound impact of the Strong Families program, families within our community have warmly embraced its principles. Through continuous engagement and rollout sessions in the barangays, as of now, we have successfully
The
catered.
video is not the one.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the same thing because we talk about family. It was supposed to be the school now.
My apologies, my system was not configured. That video was not in my schedule. And give me 1 second to understand what's happening. I believe the next presentation should be
Maria.
By Francis Grace. That's what I have on my list.
No. Maria is supposed to.
We sent it to Dr. Joe, the presentation. It was well received yesterday.
Brian, I'm sorry, can you correct me? What is supposed to be the next presentation again? Because I have a totally different, I totally have a different presentation. My apologies.
I apologize to all for the confusion. We will work this out. Is there any way that we can continue with the presentation and come back to the one we were just speaking of?
Okay, noted. So while we're looking for the presentation for Maria, we will move forward with the next presentation, which is on.
It's okay, Ivana. We proceed and then we'll just fill in at the end. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the understanding, Maria. So we will move with the next presentation, which is on family-based prevention intervention. And this presentation will be from Francis Grace Duka-Pante. She works at the health education faculty at the University of the Philippines and has been serving as the director of the Asian Training Center for Preventive Drug Education since 2012. Since 2015, she has been helping disseminate the universal prevention curriculum for substance use as part of the first cohort of UPC Global Master Trainers. In 2017, she was also trained on the UPC Family-Based Prevention track for the Practitioners series. So may we have the presentation of Francis Grace. Thank you.
Evidence-based prevention interventions that target families are effective ways to reduce substance use in the world. This short presentation is based on the Universal Prevention Curriculum for Practitioners that was developed through funding from the U.S. Department of State to the Colombo Plan Drug Advisory Program. These family-based interventions can be categorized into three: parenting program, family skills program, and family therapy program. Parenting programs focus only on changing specific parenting practices, while family skills programs generally enhance parent-child relationship. Meanwhile, family therapy programs are more intensive and aim to change early problem behaviors. A wide range of family-based prevention programs are available. 5 will be covered in this presentation. The first is the Nurse-Family Partnership. This is a home visitation program in which a trained nurse or social worker visits expecting and new mothers to help them develop parenting skills and support around their own health and wellness issues. The Incredible Years is a series of developmentally based programs for parents, teachers, and children. The programs are guided by a developmental theory about associated factors that contribute to problem development in children and youth. The 3 programs are designed to work together to promote emotional, social, and academic competence, and to prevent, reduce, and treat behavioral and emotional problems in young children. The parenting program was the first of the programs to be developed and tested. Then we have the Strengthening Families program for parents and youth 10 to 14. This is a universal family skills training program conducted for 7 weeks. It has 3 program components: parent sessions, youth sessions, and family sessions. It is based on the premise that building family skills during important points of developmental transition, like when children move into adolescence, can buffer some of the stresses that families may experience and can help children build the skills they need to develop healthy habits and refrain from using substances. The Positive Parenting Program, or the P, is a system of 20 different parenting programs for different ages, different levels of problems, and different contexts. The intervention can be delivered to children of different ages from birth to age 16. There are some especially adapted P programs for the needs of teenagers. It can also be delivered as a universal, selective, indicated prevention programs, as an early intervention program, or as a treatment program. Then we have a multisystemic therapy, or MST. This is an intensive family intervention that is implemented as an indicated intervention for youth who are showing early signs of being very aggressive, or as a treatment for youth who have already been in trouble with authorities because of illegal behavior. The intervention serves youth ages 12 to 17 and their families. It is very intensive, and therapists are available to family members 24 hours per day, 7 days per week. Contact usually ranges from 2 to 15 hours per week on average and will last between 3 to 5 months. Now, let us look at the program impact of these evidence-based prevention interventions targeting families. The Nurse-Family Partnership was proven to be effective in reducing delinquency, arrests, and criminal convictions, and the use of substances. Meanwhile, the Incredible Years was successful in terms of improving parenting and child behavior, especially on minimizing disruptive behaviors like aggression and conduct problems, while enhancing pro-social child behavior, especially when it comes to social competence. Meanwhile, the Strengthening Families Program 10 to 14 was able to delay the first use of alcohol and prevent the increase of alcohol, cigarette, or marijuana use over time. Then the Positive Parenting Program, or P, was able to reduce alcohol and substance abuse. Similarly, the multisystemic therapy was successful in reducing alcohol, marijuana, and other drug use. This proves that there are a lot of evidence-based prevention interventions that target families that we can use so that we would be able to reduce substance use in the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Grace. So along the same line, under the same topic, we will now hear the presentation of Dr. Aala Khani from University of Manchester. May we have the presentation, please?
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Aala Khani, and I am a global humanitarian psychologist. In this presentation, I hope to highlight how utilizing family skills interventions is really key to preventing a number of negative outcomes, including substance use, as well as other negative physical, mental, and social outcomes. Let me start by sharing with you an image of the international standards of drug use prevention. And the reasons I'm mentioning the standards, but only very briefly, we usually have a 3-day training on it, is that there is a science behind it. And we've used the WHO criteria to filter that science. Essentially, what this means is that there's no need to improvise in terms of what programs work in preventing drug use and other risky behaviors and what programs don't. The other key message is that prevention is much more than just awareness of drugs and other risks of self-harm. This, for example, is just a small component of what it is that works, really, and only for a subgroup of people. We're moving away from awareness fear raising. We're far beyond this strategy now. Messages of just say no to drugs assume that in the very young age of vulnerability, there's a free, independent choice that children or youth can make to say yes or no, without assuming the rest of the vulnerability around the child. So the point of focus here is shifted from drugs being the problem to how can I help that individual in different ages of development to grow in a really healthy and safe way. My colleague, Dr. Wadia Malouf, has recently presented to the coalition specifically on the international standards, and I have shared a link to that presentation for those of you who would like more information. Now, focusing on the family is a social institution that is so powerful in the lives of children. These are people with shared genes, history, and daily experiences, and a future. And we very often underestimate the role of the family in prevention, though it's so important. UNODC has also participated in a recent WHO parenting guideline that indicates recommendations of family skills on the multi-treatment prevention to different settings as well. That's why when we talk about family skills, we're talking about improving communication, trust, problem-solving skills, and conflict resolution between caregivers and children. And of course, that interactivity will be very different at different stages of the child's early life and adolescence too, and through all of their development. These are all key concepts that are promoted by evidence-based family skills programs. So what are these evidence family skills resources? Well, they're resources that aim to strengthen family protective factors that I've just mentioned, and they focus on relationships and behavior change, and where possible, lots of practice. Also, supporting families is very cost effective, with research indicating a return of almost $10 for every dollar spent implementing family skills programs. There's a compilation of evidence-based practices in line with the international standards of drug use prevention that UNODC have produced. And if you look into this document, you will find the compilation of tools there. Many of these you may be familiar with already, such as PPP, SFP 10-14, and FAST, and others as well. Based on these, we have successfully tested several of these packages, namely SFP 10-14 and FAST globally, as you can see from this map, all the while publishing our results in peer-reviewed journals. Despite the effectiveness of such programs that we've seen, we identified during implementations that caregiving in stressful settings raises particular concerns and needs, and that these need to be addressed. And also scaling up programming, even in a universal setting, requires a low threshold program. As such, we've developed this model of multi-level parenting support delivery for family living in low and middle income countries, including families in conflict and refugee settings. And at each level, families can be provided with family skill support, depending on how much resources the area they're in residing has and how much need they're in. And this maps well against MHPSS model of psychosocial support. You'll see that there's different packages that we avail to families at all the different stages of their parenting experience. From the bottom of the model, we have very basic universal tools here, such as leaflets and short videos, to more multi-session programs that sit at the middle of our model, all the way up to more trauma-focused recovery and high-intensity interventions right at the top or the peak of our model. We've had the pleasure of collaborating with several other agencies such as the WHO, UNICEF, ECDAN, and GISP on our resource development and dissemination, particularly for efforts with resources at the lower level of our model, such as videos and leaflets. And this has been mostly through responses to events such as the COVID-19 pandemic, the Ukraine conflict, the Syria-Turkey earthquake, and many other contexts as well. If we look specifically here at our model, at the middle, where we have tools or resources that are multi-level, at this stage here, we've developed two programs, one called Strong Families and one Family United, that meet the needs of families in low resource, challenging settings, such as humanitarian contexts or low and middle income countries. So Strong Families is for families in challenged settings, and Family United is a more universal intervention. And key features of these interventions are that they are evidence-based programs, that they are open source, requiring no royalty fees. And this is really valuable in contexts where resources and funding is really low and we have competing demands for funding use. And also that they require very light material, so it's very easy to move these programs to scale. To date, we've implemented these two interventions in over 40 countries globally in just the last few years, and we have multiple publications from diverse countries and contexts published in peer-reviewed journals on their effectiveness on domains extending even further than drug use prevention, even though they stem from the prevention of drug prevention standards such as violence, mental health, and family functioning. Strong Families was developed with the generous support of the US INL and first piloted in Afghanistan and other countries. And Family United was developed with the support of the government of Japan, but with the support of US INL, we've been able to implement and pilot in many other countries globally. UNODC places particular importance on focusing on the needs of refugees and IDPs in our programming. And this is in response to research I conducted at the University of Manchester, where in this research, we were in refugee camps in Syria and in Turkey, sitting with families in their tents and asking them how they were coping in caring for their children and what needs they needed. And what we found was that caregivers were really struggling to care for their children. They were making significant attempts at trying to access parenting support, yet there simply was none available. This need to support caregivers to care for their children was not prioritized nor funded. And we researched and presented several possible reasons in a recent commentary for this lack, such as the mental health and family function of families is simply not deemed a primary need in such contexts. Also, interventions are often lengthy and costly, and their effectiveness isn't tested in varying cultural and challenging contexts. Also, different contexts require some different particular needs, as they can be volatile, and this makes problems accessing such areas with training. And also research on effectiveness of interventions when applied is limited. So we have poor research infrastructure and poor resources as well, making it even harder to be able to research the effectiveness of such interventions in this context. But living through war or other humanitarian contexts really entails many changes for children and their families, with the potential for really significant impact on well-being and mental health, both acute and long-term. Families under stress often become less warm and harsher, and parental stress is a really important driver of this. The relationship that parents have with their children is the primary most important factor in their future well-being. That's in their emotional and mental health development, and very significantly in the likelihood of them becoming engaged in risky behaviors such as drug misuse, criminal activity, and sexual experiences that can be harmful. So we really take pride in knowing that our UNODC Family Skills Interventions, Strong Families, which is designed for families in challenged settings, is being used in multiple humanitarian contexts, such as the Cox's Bazar and Afghanistan. The implementation of these interventions are not meant to be exclusive, but rather can bridge with other programs that exist that are multi-tiered, addressing several risks. such that the transferability of the scientific knowledge to other countries may be in different programs such as SFP 10 to 14, FAST, and other open source programs that are evidence-based. Finally, we need to make use of this really wonderful protective shield that caregivers can be for their children, particularly during challenging, stressful times. And the UNODC resource pyramid is just one example of the way that support can be conceptualized, and there are other programs and resources available too. There are diverse public health implications of this arsenal of tools being readily available to families in new emerging challenging contexts, from the prevention of drug use and other risky behaviors, reduction in violence against children, promotion of mental health and physical well-being in the short and in the long term, and to promote the resilience of children and youth. But first, we must prioritize expanding the reach of interventions that support family functioning as a primary need, as a concrete, definitive next step in drug use prevention. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Aala Khani. So we have made aware that Maria's presentation is ready, but because we are currently on the family-based prevention and there's a testimony to go with it, we'll hear the testimony for strong families from Lebanon, and then we will go to Maria's presentation. So can we have the testimonial for strong families?
Acquiring family skills is essential in Lebanon. Amidst conflict, crisis, social security, and economic instability, and the painful humanitarian situation in the region, which causes stress and pressure, increases challenges for families. The Strong Families program is implemented in a systematic manner to enable families, including refugees from different areas, to learn communication skills, techniques, and tools to decrease stress and create a safe environment for building a healthy and secure relationship within the family. As social workers, we benefited from this program and applied it in our lives to see how it had a positive impact on families and how it changed their relationships within the family for the better. We need to expand this program to reach a larger segment of families in Lebanon, since we have noticed a huge need for programs that truly promote a positive and healthy environment to support strong families in dealing with ongoing challenges.
Okay, thank you, Lebanon, for sharing your experience. So we will now go back to Maria's testimonial from Philippines. And just to remind you, the testimony is on school-based prevention intervention. Thank you. May we have the presentation?
Good day, everyone. I'll be presenting the efforts of the Department of Education on substance use prevention. The National Drug Education Program, supported by the Comprehensive Tobacco Control Program, is one of the 6 flagship programs under the Operational Plan for Health issued through the O28 series of 2018, which is the convergence of DepEd's health programs, policies, and activities geared towards their effective and efficient implementation at the school level in partnership with various stakeholders. The policy was issued and served as a comprehensive educational program which provides for a holistic approach to the problem of drug use. It's designed to enable all sectors to work collaboratively with the school system as the core, and it strengthens parent and community participation. The components include integration of concepts into the curriculum, co-curricular and ancillary services, staff development, parent education and community outreach, and monitoring, research, and evaluation. We have conducted trainings on the Universal Prevention Curriculum for Substance Use, and the Department of Education funded the UPC trainings for focal persons and health personnel for them to complete the 9 curricula. We partnered with the Colombo Plan for the UPC core course trainings in the following dates and venues, and also conducted capacity building for school heads on the Comprehensive Drugs Act of 2002. We conducted training of the guidance counselors on the initial assessment and intervention for students and personnel found to be positive on drugs. We also conducted the systematic training for effective parenting designed for parents that aims to enhance their knowledge on responsible parenthood and reprise them on their role in substance abuse prevention. We implement the peer group against drugs in partnership with the Dangerous Drugs Board to strengthen NDEP, and we now have 2,714 established PKD chapters and 454,335 members nationwide. In 2022, the policy for the BKD was crafted to institutionalize its operations. In July 2022, the BKD convention was conducted virtually, and the National BKD Convention was also conducted with the participation of 200 youth delegates nationwide. Learners shared their best practices in the implementation of the BKD and benchmarked in Santo Niño High School, the Hall of Famer in the implementation of BKD. The search for outstanding implementers is also conducted annually to encourage schools to become more actively involved in promoting people empowerment in leading a healthy lifestyle that is drug-free and productive by identifying best practices of the different BKD chapters, which will serve as models for other schools to implement. We also conducted the workshop on the development of the reference manual for substance use prevention. And there's also the capacity building for curriculum and instruction focal persons. The session included substance use, abuse, and mental health, overall direction of the PLSS SHD in support of the National Drug Education Program, and initiatives of the Bureau of Learning Delivery and Preventive Drug Education Program, policy for curriculum and instruction, and PDE curriculum model. Even during the pandemic, webinar series were conducted. There are also initiatives on tobacco control and alcohol use prevention. We have issued the policy on the comprehensive tobacco control program with the 5 components. And we also have the policy on comprehensive tobacco control with the following legal basis, and it highlights the 3 months on smoking, selling, and sponsorship and the like. These are also the implementation strategies, IEC, cessation interventions, collaborations, capacity building, and monitoring and reporting. For alcohol use prevention, we have a partnership with PETA Plus for the implementation of the SMASH Philippines, which provided orientation on alcohol use prevention through interactive activities, and student leaders were trained across the nation on the use of the interactive platform for cascading. As to our ways forward on substance use prevention, of course, we would like to strengthen the implementation of the operational plan for health and healthy learning institutions, strengthen partnerships and substance use prevention, integrate and align efforts for substance use prevention with that of adolescent reproductive health and school mental health, review and update policies related to substance use prevention, institutionalize after school sports activities incorporating substance use prevention, and of course, document best practices. Thank you very much. As to our ways for
Thank you, Maria, and for the testimonial, and thank you for sharing the achievement of the Philippines. We will now move on to our last topic for this session.
And my apologies, this is your technical moderator. I think I finished that video earlier than I should have. And Sarah, I think this is what you wanted to say. Give me 1 second, I will try to restart that.
Integrate and align efforts for substance use prevention with that of adolescent reproductive health and school mental health, review and update policies related to substance use prevention, institutionalize after school sports activities incorporating substance use prevention, and of course, document best practices. Thank you very much. As to our ways forward on substance use prevention, we would like to strengthen the implementation of the operational plan for healthy learning
No, Cyril,
institutions, strengthen partnerships and substance use prevention, integrate.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, and thank you, Maria. So we will now move on to the global program on workplace training of accreditations for organizations. And the first presentation will be from Elizabeth Njani from Kenya. May we have the presentation, please?
Thank you very much. Stand by for the presentation, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Elizabeth Njani, Deputy Director, Training, Treatment and Rehabilitation in Murang'a County, Kenya. I'm going to make a presentation on workplace-based prevention. Our focus is on evidence-based intervention as applied in the workplace, and the prevention curriculum has been developed by Colombo Plan with the funding from U.S. Department of State, INL. The target of these evidence-based interventions are the employees and their families, as well as employers. The intervention is based on different types, especially the populations within the workplace. For example, universal, selective, and educated population. And the setting is within a workplace. We are going to look at different evidence-based interventions that have been implemented and proven to work in different workplace settings in different countries. And the first one is workplace substance use prevention policies. These policies can be implemented in two different ways. The first one is integrating of substance use matters in occupational safety and health policies. This is because substance use is a health measure that can be managed under existing health practices within an organization. The second way of using substance use prevention policies is developing a standalone workplace substance use prevention and management policy based on UNODC policy guidelines. These policies provide guidelines on management of substance use in workplaces, focusing on prevention, treatment, and reintegration back to work for those persons who have already gone through treatment. It also provides sanction measures against any employee contravening the same guidelines. In addition, it stipulates the role and/or responsibility of the employer, employee, and committee responsible for the implementation of the policy. The second EBI is use of employee assistance programs and wellness programs. These incorporates health issues that may negatively impact employee health as well as their productivity at the workplace. The issues handled include but are not limited to employee health and well-being, family issues, financial management, substance use and substance abuse, and other psychological issues, for instance, trauma. The third one is employee education. These substance use education programs target employees at all levels. They can be for specific population at the workplace, such as universal population, selective or educated populations. These programs can also target other areas such as individual risk and protective factors, social interactions and peer support, workplace environment, and training of managers and supervisors. When you look at the impact of EBIs, we look at the immediate impact, the short-term impact, and long-term impact. At the immediate impact, we see increased awareness of negative impact of substance use at the workplace and also awareness of available services. It also gives us improved social interaction and peer support, and also reduce the risk factors. And a short-term impact, we have reduction in disciplinary cases such as absenteeism and tardiness, among others. You also have reduction in workplace-related accidents. At the long term, we have reduced substance use prevalence and new incidences. There is a reduction in health costs and also increased productivity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Elizabeth. So we will now move directly to Dr. Neil Rodrigo presentation. Dr. Neil is from Philippines. May we have the okay, thank you.
Good day. I'm Dr. Neil Rodrigo from the Philippines. I shall be sharing to you what we are doing right now in our country with regard to the workplace-based prevention. Our program focuses on our workers in both the government and the private sector. Let me show you our program's national basis. To begin with, we have the Philippine Republic Act 9165, otherwise known as the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002. And in that act, specifically for the labor sector, both government and private were included, giving the two national agencies of the government the power to mandate all workers to adhere to the National Drug-Free Workplace Program in Article 5 of this Act. Henceforth, the Civil Service Commission released the CSC Memorandum Circular Number 13, Series of 2017, entitled Guidelines to the Mandatory Random Drug Test for Public Officials and Employees, and for other purposes. On the other hand, the Philippine Department of Labor and Employment released the DOLE Department Order 53 Series of 2003, also known as the Guidelines for the Implementation of a Drug-Free Workplace Policies and Programs for the Private Sector. There are 4 program components of the Philippine Department of Labor and Employment based on their Department Order 53 Series of 2003. These are Advocacy, Education and Training, Drug Testing Program, Treatment, Rehabilitation and Referral, and Monitoring and Evaluation. As for my personal experiences, the Philippines is very active in advocacy, education, and training in the labor sector. The DOLE Occupational Safety Health Center has incorporated the drug-free workplace under its mandate to industries in the country on occupational safety and health. All accredited safety and health training organizations of the DOLE has the drug-free workplace in their modules, such as the Philippine College of Occupational Medicine, Occupational Health Nurses Association of the Philippines, the Safety Organization of the Philippines, and the Association of Safety Practitioners of the Philippines. With DDB as the lead agency, collaboration with the LGU and the national agencies like the Pasig City PICADAO and the Bureau of Fire Protection and many more has been very active. The drug testing program will ensue after the cascading of the drug-free workplace policy to the workers and duly acknowledged by them. Drug testing is a prerequisite for pre-employment of workers. Drug testing is also conducted randomly for workers involved in an accident or a near-miss incident, for a worker under or has undergone rehabilitation and treatment, and upon the recommendation of the occupational health physician based on clinical assessment. Drug testing is conducted only by the DOH accredited laboratories. As the subcommittee of the OSH committee, the drug assessment team regularly meets to ensure drug use prevention efforts in the company sustains and linked to other occupational health programs such as mental health in the workplace, stress management program, nutrition program, and exercise and wellness programs for prevention. Referral to treatment and rehabilitation procedures are also set down by the drug assessment team. A worker who was found with a confirmed positive drug test result shall be offered further assessment, such as the drug dependency examination, treatment and rehabilitation in a DOH TRC. After rehabilitation, a worker may be able to go back to work with the necessary clearance from the rehabilitation center and the occupational health physician of the company. The worker is being monitored by the DOH in coordination with the company's drug assessment team for 18 months as an aftercare. After 18 months with a good performance of the worker, the regular health monitoring evaluation will be transferred back to the occupational health services of the company. Now, with the desired practice of the drug-free workplace policies and program, industries will immediately comply with the mandate of the law. Secondly, there is a big chance in the reduction of a drug-related accidents and the liability issues and lawsuits that can arise from such accidents. And finally, a better practice of occupational health and thereby safety performance leading to better productivity. Thank you.